today we are going to be looking at, excuse me, using equivalent fractions to write the fractions with the same denominator so that we can add fractions that have different denominators. We're going to be primarily looking at tenths and hundredths. And then we are also going to be adding decimals. Now, if we look at our example here, it says we're going to use equivalent fractions to write the fractions with the same denominator so that we can add. Because remember, you cannot add fractions that have different denominators. The denominators have to be the same before you can add them. All right, so in the example they have 5/10. Goodness gracious, plus 32 hundredths. Ooh, the smart board is raggedy today. All right. Clearly, we do not have the same denominator. Here I have a 10, here I have a 100. So I'm going to need to rewrite this fraction so that it also has a denominator of 100. All right, so I'm going to come over here to the side. Or it might not let me. It's the best I can do. That's what I got right now. Because unfortunately, the smart board and everything is not being very cooperative. So I'm going to rewrite 5/10 as something over 100. What do I have to do to 10 to get 100? Times 10. So if I multiply this times 10 to get my 100, I'm going to have to multiply this times 10. And what would I get? 50. All right? So then I could add 50 thirtieths plus 32 thirtieths. 32 hundredths. So that would be 50 hundredths plus 32 hundredths equals 82 hundredths. So we'll look at an example where we need to rewrite these fractions as equivalent fractions so that we have common denominators. So this is the best we got. This says 2/10 plus 25 hundredths. I'll erase some of this. Oh, goodness gracious. Ah, look at that. It's doing its thing. Okay, so 2/10 plus 25 hundredths. Now, do we have the same denominator? No. 10 and 100 are different. So I have to rewrite the tenth as hundredths. They both need to have the same denominator. All right? Denominator is the number in the bottom. They have to have the same. So what do I do to tenths to get hundredths? Times 10. So that means I need to do 2 times, which would be 20 hundredths. So then I would multiply I would add 20 hundredths and 25, oh my goodness, that's terrible. And I would get 45 hundredths.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yep. Okay, I see 45 now. Okay.
All right? So that's how we will be adding these fractions together. We will make sure that we first change them to an equivalent fraction that has a common denominator. Then we can add the numerators. So, but that's not the only skill that we're looking at today.
Not.
No. We're also going to be adding tenths and hundredths in decimal form. So, when we're thinking about tenths and hundredths in decimal form, we could change them into fractions So we know that 5/10 looks like 5/10. And we know that 22 hundredths looks like 22 hundredths. So then I could do 5/10, change it to where it has a common denominator of 100. Then add, right? 50 hundredths plus 22 hundredths equals 72 hundredths. And then change that back to a decimal. So we totally could do that. I mean, that's a thing. I don't suggest doing that. I have a better strategy. In my opinion, it's better strategy. So I'm going to show you the better strategy. And I'm going to pull up just a plain and simple whiteboard page so that, yeah. Come on, there we go. So that I can actually write and it will be somewhat coherent. All right. Now, this is the way that I suggest you add decimals. And honestly, this is the way that most adults, most successful human beings, most people who do math will do it this way. I don't know why these standards want to change the way that people have been successful for many, many years. But whatever. So, that was weird. All right. All right. So, if I have 1/10, can y'all see that okay? All right. Let me. 1/10. Oh, it's going to be backwards for my people who, well, no, it's okay. All right, no, it's good. Never mind, sorry. 1/10 and 75 hundredths. So I could say 1/10 plus 75 over 100, change that to 10 over 100, get 85 over 100, and then I change that back to a decimal. I totally could do that. Or I could just line up my decimal points. So I'm going to rewrite this, but I'm going to line up my decimal points. What color y'all want? Oh, let's get that one. That looks good. Yep.
You're red on the
Because I had to change the, yeah, I had to darken it up some over there. So, Oh, I like that. Y'all like that? That looks good.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
All right, we like that.
Whoa! It's on Miss Maureen.
Yep, okay. So now I'm going to rewrite this problem, but I'm going to stack them up on top of each other. And the first thing I'm going to write down is my decimals, because my decimals have to stay lined up. If I keep my decimals lined up, then I'm going to keep my place values lined up. And if I keep my place values lined up, then I'm going to be correct. If I let my place values get out of track, I'm going to be wrong. All right, so here, in front of the decimal, I have a 0. Behind the decimal, I have a 1. In front of the decimal, I have a 0. Behind the decimal, I have a 7 and a 5. Now, I want you to notice,
It's 6.
do I have anything here?
No, that's 5. 8.
So I don't have anything here.
It's that.
So if there's nothing there, that means what's actually there?
That's 0.
A 0. So I can fill in that 0. I can annex that 0 and fill that on in. Because remember, 0 means nothing, and there was nothing there. I went ahead and wrote my decimal down into my answer to make sure that I'm going to stay on track in my answer as well. Now I just add, just like you would if there was no decimal. 0 plus 5, 1 plus 7, 0 plus 0, 0.
I told you.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hand out your paper, and then we'll do a couple examples together.
No. Me and Jada can split up. How about no one passing out? Ta-da! Yeah, let me pass them out.
We are still recording.
You know what the front of this shirt looks like? Besides yours. It looks like someone just painted it and then as soon as they start finishing it, they just drop it. Just drop it on the floor.
How do you do that?
Or just drop the shirt in the bucket. Or I'm actually just molded on it.
Yes.
I feel like they're not
When you're trying to get a
It's not on your phone.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's take a look at number 1 together. All right. Let's have, well, I bet yellow looks good.
Whoa. I'm doing multiplication.
Okay, so let's do 8/10 plus 7/100. So here I've got 8. Oop. All right, I'll rewrite that. Yeah, I'll have to rewrite that down.
You can't see. Yeah, there we go.
8/10
How much is it snowing?
plus 7/100. So can we just go ahead and add these two fractions?
Yeah.
No. Are their denominators the same?
No.
So I'm going to change 8/10 into something over hundredths. 8 times 10, or sorry, 10 times 10 is 100, so then 8 times 10 is?
80.
So I'm actually going to be adding 80 plus 7 over 100, which is?
So it's not that hard.
No, 8,700.
It was easy. I'll watch the video of our bathroom and check it. Living on the highway.
I'll show you a, this is kind of interesting as well, in my opinion. Excuse me, I'm gonna get past y'all real quick. I'm gonna zoom them out so that they can.
Is the first one 87? 87 when don't drop your baby. Take it too.
All right, now let me show y'all this, which I think is kind of interesting too. So this is another strategy you can use if you get kind of stuck there.
I think this is dog paw.
Okay? So 8/10. What does that look like as a decimal? What does 8/10 look like as a decimal?
808.
Okay.
Oh wait, I just realized that's an 8.
And what does 7/100 look like as a decimal?
07.
700. Not 7/10, but 700. So you could technically change them both into decimals first and then add, and you would get the same thing. Or you can have them both as equivalent fractions. All right, so, on another page, just like this. Give me a page. All right. We will also look at number 7 together. Okay. 1/10 plus 71/100. Should I add them together while they're horizontal like that?
No.
No, I should stack those decimals up. Line those decimals up. It's hard to see those. There we go. I have a 0 in front of the decimal and a 1 behind it. 0 in front. 71 behind it. What do I do here?
You put a 0 behind it.
Yes, I can annex that 0 there because there was nothing there. 0 means nothing, so I can go ahead and fill in that 0. 1 plus 0. 1 plus 7. 0 plus 0. So, 81/100. We can also write it as 81/100. Alright, I will be happy to move. Oh, let me go around this way. Alright, thank you.